Hey ladies and gents, welcome back. This is going to be part 3 of What If Goku Had the Sharingan, and sorry for the little bit of a delay that was on this video. I've been sick for the past few days and didn't really feel like recording with my voice like that, so I decided to wait a few days, so sorry about the delay on it. And that being said, make sure to like and subscribe if you do enjoy the video, and let's jump right into it. So, Goku had just defeated Frieza. He basically fell unconscious from all of the chakra and ki use that he has been doing, and so Bulma, Vegeta, and the rest take him back to the ship, and they return back to their planet. Now, they weren't on Namek or anything like that, so nothing really gets interfered, like they don't have to make any wishes to wish the planet away or anything of that sort, and so their lives would return to normal for a while. But around a year of time would pass by, and when this happens, somebody would arrive. Now, this isn't Frieza. Frieza is completely dead. It's actually a blue-haired boy who looks very confused. He walks around and asks, why is Goku at Capsule Corp? And Goku tells him, it's like, oh well, I live here, what's the problem with that? And Trunks looks up now. This is like the normal Trunks, like from the original time, or not original timeline, but you know, the past timeline. And so he asks, where's Vegeta? And Goku just explains to him that, oh, he's off somewhere training right now, I think. And Trunks asks, okay, and are you married to her? Goku looks over to Bulma and nods, saying, yeah, and they even have a son, pointing at Gohan, who's studying in the corner. And Trunks is surprised by this, and he wonders if his interference caused this or something else. He takes Goku over to the side and begins basically asking questions about what is happening, and he then explains his story about how these androids came to his future, but Goku died from the heart virus, and so the future was kind of doomed and everybody died, including his master, Gohan, who is different from that one. And so, with this explained to Goku, he gives him the heart virus, and they go off to a wasteland, and Trunks asks Goku to power up to his maximum power. And so he does. He powers up into a Super Saiyan and activates his Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Trunks, absolutely shocked by this, not knowing what the hell Goku just did with his eyes, basically looks at him like, what's that? And Goku explains that it's something called the Sharingan. It's because of who his dad basically, was doing stuff with, he thinks, or something of that sort, but he isn't really too sure. He just knows a few things from when he wished from Shenron to get his eyes basically restored. He said, your Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan has been activated, basically. And Trunks is shocked by this, asking and basically thinking that, okay, it doesn't seem to be his interference, this timeline just seems to be completely different. And so he gives Goku the heart virus, thinking he might still need it, and basically leaves back to his own timeline and says he'll be back in around 3 years when the androids attack. And so this would begin the time skip for basically everybody training and everything like that. And so they begin training with the Vegeta pretty much gone, just doing his own thing, training by himself in order to try and acquire this new and powerful form. And so, with this actually happening, the 3 years would be up. Goku had been training with pretty much Gohan and Piccolo throughout the entire time, and has taken great effect of the gravity room, which can now go up to around 2,000 times the normal Earth's gravity, which would help him greatly in training, along with the fact that because of all of his masters that he has had, he goes and trains with other people in order to get stronger too. Even going and training with King Kai because Kami said he might have some techniques that could be helpful against the androids. And so, eventually, the androids' attack does happen, and unfortunately, they still manage to get Yamcha first. And so, when all of the other Z fighters would arrive, Goku, still not really caring that much and not really, thinking about it too much, would still be fighting Android 19, and the heart basically virus would activate because he forgot to take the medicine. And Bulma, who hadn't really been that informed of it, would ask what's actually happening, and Piccolo explains what it is. During one of their training sessions, Goku told him that he was going to succumb to this heart virus, and Bulma just shakes her head, calling Goku an idiot, and basically they take him off the battlefield in order to get the heart virus. But this is where Vegeta would arrive. And the androids aren't actually that much stronger than they were in the original. Cell, from the actual timeline of this one, would be much stronger because he's been collecting DNA for Cell like this entire time, but for the androids, just like in the original, he pretty much stopped getting all of the information and data after Vegeta arrived. And so they wouldn't really be that much stronger than they were in the original because their power levels didn't really go that much higher. It's like, oh, we calculated your growth and all, but like, they never really knew how strong they got. Nor the fact that Vegeta can go Super Saiyan, so as he powers up, his power being a little bit higher than it was in the original because of the fact that Goku was stronger, he trained harder in order to surpass him, and so he pretty easily defeats Android 19 with a similar strategy to what he did in the original. However, Android 20, or Dr. Gero, would still eventually end up escaping, and so he would go and activate the other two androids. But before that, something else happens. Trunks would once again arrive and notice that these two androids are different from his androids. And so they basically would begin searching for Dr. Gero and trying to find his lab, and eventually they do manage to find it, but the other two androids are already activated. And in spite, they basically killed Dr. Gero and activated Android 16, Dr. Gero's son. And so a similar basically sequence of events would happen. Gohan still hasn't been able to activate Super Saiyan. Piccolo isn't that massively strong, he's probably around where he was in canon, and so all of them are defeated by Android 17, 18, and 16, if 16 even needs to get involved in the fight. And so they go off and basically begin tormenting cities, as Goku eventually would wake up, and he goes and is basically trying to make a plan for what he needs to do, and thinks that because of all of the techniques he has, he should be able to take on at least one or maybe even two of the androids at once, and maybe be able to defeat them, but all three are going to be an issue. And so, as he's about to basically fly off and try to find the androids, a very ominous presence is sensed by Kami. This obviously being the future version of Cell, which is going to be the same version of Cell as it was in the original because, you know, it's a completely different timeline. It wouldn't really affect what is happening here. And so, with him arriving, he goes around absorbing people in different cities and doing all of these different things. And at this point, actually, I just realized Goku wouldn't even be awake, so we're just going to pretend he's still sleeping. And so this would basically all happen pretty much to canon because Goku is just asleep at this point. And so everybody basically would be basically warned of Cell, and he eventually manages to absorb one of the androids. And this is where Goku could wake up, but he's not going to be able to save Piccolo like he did in the original. He never went to Yardrat, and so he doesn't have the instant transmission. And so, with this actually happening, Tenshinhan and Piccolo, who were fighting with Cell, would actually die. And Goku wouldn't even, really do anything, and he basically tells everybody about the Room of Spirit and Time, explaining what it is, and Vegeta and Trunks go in first. They begin doing their training, and they come out with a similar power level to what they were in the original, and Cell has pretty much just been trying to hunt down the final android ever since he absorbed Android 17. He's been trying to find 18 and 16, but because of the fact that their ki can be basically not sensed by anybody, it is pretty easy to keep a low profile and manage to stay away for a long enough time, and eventually Vegeta and Trunks would exit the time chamber, and Goku and Gohan would go in. Vegeta and Trunks go and try to basically confront Cell, and that would lead to a very, very similar, basically, consequence to what happened in the original. Vegeta would get bored, and Cell would say, well, he can get a lot stronger. And so they go off and basically try to find the androids, and Vegeta is pretty much just going to let him absorb them, basically. And so that would also happen to Canon, and eventually it gets to the point where we have Perfect Cell. With Perfect Cell being a thing, Goku is still in the time chamber at this point, and Cell would basically, because of all of his genes and DNA and everything like that, announce the Cell games just like he does in the original. So, Goku and Gohan would eventually leave the time chamber in their mastered Super Saiyan forms, and they go off to basically rest and heal and basically talk to their families for over the next couple of, days that would go by. Vegeta ends up going back into the time chamber because of how much stronger Goku had gotten than him, and he comes out, but still not in Mastered Super Saiyan or Grade 4, because that's not how he trains, and he wouldn't really be able to do it with the way he does train. So when he exits, he is still weaker than Goku, and he used all of his time in the time chamber, along with Goku, because he spent a full year in it in the original Dragon Ball series. And so they go and confront Cell at the Cell games, and when they arrive, Goku goes up first. He activates his Super Saiyan form, powering up into it, and he charges at Cell. He is stronger by a decent bit than he was in the original, and by a decent bit, I mean a great margin, and he is actually pretty much dominating Cell in this fight with the help of his Mangekyo Sharingan, which, because of the fact that Cell isn't from this timeline, he is actually basically stronger than. And so their fight would go on, and eventually Cell would begin trying to basically self-destruct. Goku, seeing Cell actually do this, thinking that he needs to do something about this. There are no Dragon Balls anymore to his knowledge, and so he grabs Cell and begins flying into the air as fast as he can physically move. He goes up and up and up and doesn't stop moving. He goes way away, even out of the solar system with just how fast he is flying, and when Cell explodes, everybody is pretty much shocked. They know that Goku couldn't have survived that, because he has no way of pretty much doing so. And so, Gohan, in this moment of rage, would finally transform into a Super Saiyan 2, along with him being able to activate the, guess what, Sharingan at this moment. And so, just like in the original, Cell manages to basically regenerate from his single cell, and he returns to Earth after quite a while of flying there. And so when he does arrive there, Gohan would begin fighting him, and pretty much similar things would happen to the original, where Gohan, with the help of Goku, Vegeta, would end up killing Cell off for good. And Goku doesn't actually really have too much of an issue with being revived here. He still thinks that he has quite a bit to do, and he doesn't know if he should trust the future generation just yet, completely. And he has another son that is about to be born with Bulma, and so he decides to return to basically Earth if they can figure out how to get the Dragon Balls. But that's actually not going to be all that difficult. Vegeta, still being alive, knowing that Piccolo was in fact a Namekian, would basically tell them of planet Namek, and they head off there, and they use the Namekian Dragon Balls to revive Goku, Piccolo, and Tenshinhan, and they use the Earth Dragon Balls to revive every good person that was killed by Cell, and this actually includes the androids. So they basically go off and do their own thing, and Cell was defeated. So with Goku actually being revived here, that is going to change a few things, and this actually also means that Gohan isn't going to be training that much, but he's not going to get rusty or anything like that, and is actually going to get a decent bit stronger with, everything that actually happened from it. And so, with this actually happening, another time skip would occur until eventually another tournament is happening. Everybody would enter this said tournament and begin fighting in it. Eventually, So the Supreme Kai would freeze Gohan in place after he powers up for Kabito, and the goons of Babidi would basically like come out, try to absorb his energy, and they do so, and they begin flying off towards their ship. The Z fighters would soon begin following, and they would basically just be about to confront Deborah and everybody else, and that's not actually what happens. Remember how I said Gohan was much stronger than he was in the original because he not only kept up his training, but also his potential is higher? He actually completely filled up the meter. Majin Buu is going to be revived, and that's all it really took. And that was easy, which kind of worries like Babidi a little bit, because it was one fighter that did all of that, but he revives Buu, and Buu comes out of his egg. However, that is where I'm going to leave this part off. So, sorry for the little bit of a shorter part. I just didn't really want to do the entire Buu saga in one part, so yeah. I'll see you guys in the next part. Peace out.